Alright, welcome back. Do some more work yesterday. In order to get in the water, I got a few things to do. One was change the winch. Two was new wiring and lights. Got new wiring and lights on the trailer. Still won't help my problem with me being maxed out on my axle. Got a lot of weight in those tires. Anyway, yesterday I done the winch, wiring, new lights on the trailer, and I've also done the transducer, which I didn't have to do to get in water. I'll show you the transducer and the mount I made. I made the transducer, it's about a half inch above the bottom of the barrel. I'm thinking if I hit something, maybe this will clear. Highly unlikely. Anyway, I took some scrap stainless steel pipe, cut a section of pipe, flattened it, welded it. Nothing pretty, but it gets the job done. And it's bolted for my transducer, which is neatly ran all the way to the front of my console. I also, today, this is what the plans are today. I need to tension the steering, put tension on my cable system for the steering, and I need to drain the engine oil, and I'll explain why. Common problem on Nissan, Daihatsu, and Mercury 4-strokes. They make oil, and the common problem is the diaphragm and the fuel pump leaks. It's a cam-driven fuel pump. Pull the cover. It hadn't been off in a while. Probably got wasps in here. Anyway, the fuel pump is cam-driven on these, which is right here. There's a push rod on the back of the pump. When the diaphragm leaks, every time that cam load strokes the fuel pump, it squirts gas into the oil, into the base. I hadn't checked it in a while, but the last time I checked it months ago, it was overfilled. Yeah, it's way over full, way over, and it smells like gas. It still runs fine like this, but it's not good for the engine. So I've got a new fuel pump I ordered months ago for it. Let's do this with one hand. Alright, come on, get out of there. Alright, this is the fuel pump. The camshaft of the engine pushes on this. Every time it pushes, that's what strokes the fuel. So I'm going to replace this pump today. Exact replacement. Amazon, I think 15 bucks. I've changed 3 of these in my life. Same problem. But I'm going to change the fuel pump today. And something else I'm going to do. This motor, let me see if I can turn the wheel. Alright. The choke on here, this is on choke, off a choke, on, off. The little spring right here that holds tension, you can't see, a little spring right there that holds tension, it's not tight enough. This choke is loose. A lot of times when I give it full throttle, for whatever reason, it activates the choke or half choke, and the engine it'll start bogging a little bit. Sometimes it'll die in idle. And one time I went full choke, and I was in heavy winds, and the engine wouldn't start back until I came back here and pulled the cover off. By the time I got to the cover and pulled it, I'd already crashed into someone's pilings for that dock. Wind was blowing 15 miles an hour, and this is a big sail. That was my last test ride with the cabin. So I need to fix the choke to where the choke doesn't activate, because truth be told, this motor doesn't need a choke. This is here. There's a stainless steel rod that goes, if this is a tiller drive, there'd be a knob in the front you pull that would activate the choke. This little pump right here is called an accelerator pump. Every time you give it throttle, it pumps fuel. It squirts fuel. Remember the old cars from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s? When you get in there, first thing you do, you pump the accelerator a few times, and then you crank it, it starts right up. Well, that's what an accelerator pump does. So I've learned with this engine. My AC kicked on. Apparently it's not draining. Anyway, before I crank it up, if I pump the throttle 3 times, it fires right up. No matter if it's sat for a month or a day. It always works like that, where it doesn't need a choke. So today I'm going to try to disable the choke, or find a way just to keep the choke in the off position. Because this little spring doesn't provide enough tension. You can't see because the arm gets in the way. That little spring in there, right there, it doesn't provide enough resistance, and it's very easy to put the choke on. So whenever I give it throttle fast for whatever reason, it starts to creep and it gets half choked, and the motor's kind of sluggish, and then sometimes the idle will kill. It'll fire back up, but it's a hassle, because when I'm inside the cabin, I have to come back here, pull the cover off, and pull the choke back. So that's what we're gonna work on today. Some kind of way to capture this choke to where it doesn't open at all. It just deactivate it, really. So I'm gonna change the oil, change the fuel pump, deactivate the choke. I'm gonna hook up my battery. I'm undecided, but I'm probably gonna put my battery box, my old wooden battery box I had, and put it back right here temporarily, put the battery in it. Then I need to run a battery isolator that goes from here to charge the house batteries. That way when the cranking battery is full, it's gonna automatically transfer any fire past 13.2 volts. Once this battery gets 13.2, the battery isolator sends the fire to my house batteries. That will give me an alternate way to charge the battery. Oh, look at that big dirt dauber nest in there, huh? They're gonna be happy when I'm gonna try to ruin them, but I don't think I can. Oh yeah, they've been building for a while. Anyway, that's what I'm gonna do today. Get the motor running. Also need to deal with my fuel hose. Gray fuel line. I made a video on a while back, and some people say it's valid concern. Other people say it's not. Let me show you what the gray fuel line does. This fuel line now it's about 2 years old, a year and a half old. I had problems with it about a year ago. I'm gonna have to take the clamp off. I don't think I got tools with me. Let me see if I can't find a flat screwdriver. We'll pull it off. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. And I got a knife with me. Good old trusty pocket knife. So take this clamp off and I'll show you what the fuel hose does. In fact, I got a piece of it on the ground I'm gonna grab from an old hose I cut. The gray fuel line, for a couple years, some people say it's good, some people say it's not good. I wasn't really a believer in that until last year. Let me grab the other piece. All right, now probably get some gas fly out. All right, now that this is off, and if you can see inside of there, see that liner? It slid back. When I push the fit in, it collapses. There's barely a hole. There's not enough light for fuel to come out. I can't really put my phone somewhere. Let me see, my phone right here. My squeeze the bulb a little bit. Fuel still flows, but this is the liner that's inside of it. Okay, this plastic liner. And what happens is this liner breaks loose from the bond of the outside of the hose. This is from a different hose, by the way. And then when it does that, it starts to collapse in on itself, and it restricts fuel flow. And whenever you pull your fuel connection off and you try to install it back in, watch, let me cut this a fresh cut. Let me go further back with it. All right. Now, you see? That's what I was talking about. Can you see in there? And you see the liner exposed right here? So when I try to push this new connection on, let me try to do that. I might get lucky, I might not. See, I'm not gonna get lucky. When you try to push the connection on, that liner slides and starts to collapse inside, blocking the fuel flow. This might be good enough for a couple runs. I'm gonna reinstall the clamp and I'm gonna try that. But this hose is not old. All right, let me see. Now you can really see in there. See how it collapsed? See? That liner, it collapsed, leaving a small hole for fuel to pass through. I made a separate video on this months ago. I want to say 8 months ago. No, 4 months ago. Maybe it was the last time I ran my houseboat. That's the hose I used at that time. It was about a year old, the hose, and I had problems when it was 6 months old. I had a problem to where my little 15 two-stroke Suzuki kept bogging down, and You know, I cleaned the carburetor. It's carburetor spotless. It kept bogging down, and eventually I wound up trying a different fuel hose, and it ran perfect. I didn't have any issues, and that's when I decided to pull this hose apart, and that's when I found the original problem. This hose, whenever I bought it, on the package it stated safe for ethanol gas use, where a lot of people comment, well, that is doing that because you ran ethanol gas. This one is advertised safe for ethanol. This is made by a company called Scepter. This was the higher dollar model. Scepter had it was a $50 hose they had, and then they had this one was like I paid $70 for this one because it was safe for ethanol fuel, which I don't run ethanol fuel anyway. All of my small engines and outboards I run non-ethanol only. The only thing that gets ethanol fuel is my vehicles. Ethanol fuel is not bad if you use it right away. So in a vehicle, it gets used right away. But if you plan on storing something for more than 3 months, non-ethanol only. Anyway, that's a separate issue. I strayed off from my houseboat to talk about this fuel hose. It's a common problem. It happens all the time, and a lot of people, they don't believe there's nothing wrong with the gray fuel line. That's 2 years ago they corrected the issue. It's no longer a problem. This hose is less than 2 years old for sure. I want to say 8 months ago it was less than a little less than a year old, and I only used this hose a couple times. I mean, every time I rode my houseboat, even before I had the cabin, I made a video on it every time I ran. So I may have 10 videos of this thing riding, and that's the hose I use. I bought the hose brand new for this project when I started building it, which was actually a year ago, but I pre-planned ahead of time. I knew I was building this, so I bought the hose when I had some extra money. But yeah, it's enough about the hose. So I'm doing the things I need to do to get riding. Like I said, winch is done, lights done, wiring's done, transducer's done, and it's not staying in the water. I'm gonna launch, maybe leave in the water for a couple days or a week and pick it back up, because if I leave it longer than a week, I'm gonna have a lot of algae growth on here. I need to finish scraping some of these barnacles, which these will scrape off easily. You know, they've been drying for 8 months. They will scrape off, but I know when I put it in the water longer than a week, I'm gonna have issues. My trailer is overloaded. Like, it's really overloaded. You can see my springs straightened out. They're more than straightened out. In the middle, look towards the middle of the axle where the shackles are, where the U-boats are. It's bent down over the axle. So I know I'm over 3,000 pounds, without a doubt. I calculated before the interior, I was 3,000 to 3,200 pounds before sheeting my interior, adding the house batteries, the water tanks, the futon. So I can just confidently say I'm 4,000 pounds, if not more. And the reason I say that is a standard trailer tire. I filled to the max of 50 psi of air, and look at the sag on that tire. It's a lot of weight. So my next option is either finish my double axle trailer, which will cost me about roughly $1,400 in parts, but without tires, because I have tires already, to make my other trailer double axle, or I can pay $700 and buy a whole 5,200 pound single axle kit with new 10-ply heavy duty tires and get this trailer going, because my other trailer still doesn't have the bunks. I started welding the brackets, but still doesn't have the bunks. So I think my fastest route right now is just the spending money that I don't have. Bought a 5,200 pound axle, installed a 5,200 pound axle, and you know, that's gonna have to do it. I do have plans to bring this to a scale and get it weighed, but I don't want to travel that far. The scale's about a 10-mile ride, and I'm maxed out, so I don't want to take it on the highway maxed out. My boat launch is probably about 3 miles away. So I think I'm gonna gamble, take the chance. I'm gonna pick the time of day when there's least amount of traffic. We live in a small town, so it shouldn't be too bad. And I'm gonna go launch it, see where my draft is at. I'm expecting to be no more than an 11-inch draft, and I may have to move some things around on the interior for weight wise. She's gonna be riding soon. I mean, interior's still dirty. I need to clean everything up. We've all seen the interior, but The cleanup's not gonna take long, and anything that's not finished is not gonna stop me from rotting. Like this, I still need to put sealant on here. Still need to organize my wiring. And I still need to clean up in here. I gotta finish this shower. As I've said in previous videos, I gotta add the faucet, plumb it in, then I can put this wall and finish the trim work. I need to trim the bathroom, trim the doors, receptacles. I need to secure the AC. And now that I know, I was just back there when it kicked on, I heard water in the back, so it's not draining. The drain hole's plugged up, which is fine because these air conditioners are designed to hold water in, and the fan hits the water and it cools off the evaporator core in the rear and makes the air conditioner more efficient. So maybe I should not look into that drain hole issue and just leave it be. Something I'm considering. And you see, this was a hole I was talking about in the previous video. When I step out the rear deck, I'm on this hole. I'm gonna make a cover plate to go over this, the removable plate. So yeah, my AC is not draining. It's clogged up. This I put temporary. I take this as a water deflector, so I can drip into here and not pile up on my deck, which is no longer dripping water, so I don't need to put this. So I may not even put a deflector. I may just come remove all this stuff, which was stupid of me to put on here, but it's what I had at the time. I needed it because this thing was draining pretty good. You can see the insulation works pretty good. The AC just kicks on and off. I have it set on 78 on eco mode, so it's about 9 degrees outside today. But anyway, I can remove this off video. I don't know what I'm doing. If I can get rid of this, I need to secure the air conditioner, and my plan was to make a screen to cover this. But that can be done at a later time. And just like the front, my rear ceiling needs to be addressed. I need to tuck all my wires, hide everything, finish my wiring. Everything is finished. It's just a matter of me tidying up. I currently don't have a generator. I need a 2000 to 2500 watt inverter generator, and the reason I need an inverter generator is because the weight. They only weigh about 50 to 60 pounds, and I know I'm already maxed out on weight. So a 60-pound generator on the deck on one side, the starting battery, and then my fuel tank on the other side. I have 2 house batteries underneath here, and my water tanks are going to be 2 6-gallon water tanks that fit in this cabinet, which I need to pull this door off and trim. The oak swelled, but that's how I access the switch. I got 2 jugs I can put in here for 12-gallon water supply, and then I can buy extra jugs and store on the deck if I need more than 12 gallons of water. Shower, it's not going to be functional until I put the faucet in, but the drain is in, it's waterproof, it's sealed. I need to do some minor trim work. And then once that shower fixture is installed, as I said, I can cover this wall, do the sealer on it. I'll probably install a mirror on that wall, or maybe in the bathroom. I don't know. I'm a guy. I don't really need a mirror. But anyway, for now I'm gonna have a shower curtain for the door right here. But eventually I'm gonna put a door on tracks, like a sliding door, if I decide I need a door. But I think a shower curtain may just work out fine. It would just look nicer with its own door. But this can be done at a later time. I would like to start using this thing, but my problem is it's still 85 to 90 degrees at night over here, where at the end of August, sometimes it's 95 degrees at midnight. So I will not be camping in here without a generator or sleeping in here. I mean, this fan does pull in a lot of air, but it's still going to be pulling in 90-degree hot and humid air. So without a way to effectively cool the air, it is not going to be comfortable sleeping in here. So that's why I'm kind of taking my time doing things, because I don't have the generator. About $600 for a cheap generator that's going to get the job done, which I'm fine with that. It has to be 2000 to 2500 watt inverter generator, again because the weight is 60 pounds or less, and the fuel consumption is pretty good. I do have generators, but they're like 6500 kW. As a diesel generator, it weighs 400 pounds. I can't hold that, as it's too heavy. And I have a gas 4000 watt, but still that's like a 140 150 pound generator. That's still too heavy. In hindsight, I built light and it's still too heavy. I could have built lighter. I probably could have used metal studs, but I done all the math and the calculations, the amount of metal studs. I only would have saved about 30 to 40 pounds of weight versus metal studs over the 2x3 mobile home studs I used, because it's such a small structure. So that 30 to 40 pounds would not have made the difference on the overall weight. And I sheeted with 3/8 plywood. I probably could have sheeted with quarter. The difference of weight between 1/4 inch and 3/8 was about 2 pounds per sheet. I didn't see a big enough difference for such a small structure. So if I would have used metal studs and 1/4 inch plywood, I may have saved 100 pounds of weight. But even saving that 100 pounds of weight, I'm still very heavy. You know, so that's why I chose the method I chose. The poor man's fiberglass added some weight, and then of course 7 coats of paint added some weight. Had I sheeted differently, say if I'd have gone with vinyl siding, the weight of the vinyl siding would have exceeded the weight of the poor man's fiberglass and the paint. So because I get a lot of responses on Facebook groups, you should have done this, this was lighter, you should have, you know, saving 30 pounds would not have made the difference. If 30 pounds makes or breaks this thing, it's still too heavy. You know, you want a safety factor to where you can be at your max draft and still have 2 people and move around and not worry about flipping over or capsizing from the wind. I think I'm going to be at max capacity with 2 people, loaded down, fuel, water, food. I think I'm going to be maxed out. It's still going to be safe to operate, but I don't think you're going to fit 10 people in here. No way. On video, this looks like a large space, but it's really not. It's about 7.5 by 11.5 with a 6'3", I believe, roof height. 2 people, to me, this is cramped with 2 people. It's small. It's a tiny house. I think it's like 92 square feet. You know, you're not going to fit 5 people in 92 square feet. I mean, you can, but you're not going to like it. It's like those small sailboats. They design them. You can sleep 6 people, but realistically, 2 people's crowded. But they're designed to sleep 6. So if I had to, I could have made another set of bunk beds in here where I could sleep 4 people in here. But do I want 4 people crammed up for the weekend in this little box? No, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not really. Not that I'm not sociable. I don't like crowds of people. I like small audiences. I don't do concerts. I don't do big events because I don't like being around a bunch of people, whether strangers or people I know. I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm kind of what's called an introvert. You know, I have characteristics of an introvert. I don't like crowds of people in that aspect. So yeah, I rambled long enough. Let me get working. I'm gonna change that oil, change that fuel pump. Probably gonna test run the engine today. And then after that, I'm going to step back, reevaluate what else I need to do before this goes in the water. But I think once I do that fuel pump, change the engine oil, make sure the engine runs, hook up my battery isolator, tidy up a few wires, and I'm ready to go in the water. You know, I do have to clean up my mess, so in half-hour time I can have this whole place cleaned up. Yeah. So I'm aiming to have in the water tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment. Maybe Thursday I'll put in the water. Friday I have another doctor's appointment. Maybe this weekend I can do the shakedown cruise. We can go ride it around, see how well she handles some waves. Take it out to the lake. The lake usually has 1 foot swells. We'll see what she does. I have to charge up my VHF handheld radio because I never bought a VHF to put in here. I left a spot to tie in my wires up here to mount a ceiling mount VHF, but I never bought one. It's just $150 that I needed other places. I've been out of work for a while, had my surgery, still recovering. So yeah, again, I'm gonna say it. I rambled long enough. That's what I got going on. I thank you guys for following. Thank y'all for y'all interest. That's what I have going on. I'm gonna get this thing ready to be in the water the next day or two, or who knows, I may even put it in the water this afternoon, let it sit at my dad's overnight, plug it in just so the batteries could charge, and I could always do the battery isolator tomorrow after my doctor's appointment. Don't know, but today my priority is take care of the motor. That's one less excuse I have to get in the water. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank y'all for viewing.